Hello and welcome to a special presentation of Oscar Mike Radio. This is going before my 441 show here in a couple minutes. And when the time calls, you got to be ready, and I'm ready. I was approached about talking about the Marine Corps University, which I'd heard of before, but I'd never really delved into the deeper meaning. And here joining me tonight is Marine Corps veteran, a captain in artillery. So I'd like to introduce Donald Knauss to Oscar Mike Radio. Sir, welcome to the show. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks, Travis. Great to be with you.
So I knew that, I mean, Marines are smart, even though some people like to joke about that we're, ASVAB waivers, sir. But, Marines, are committed to lifelong learning. And so when I got a chance to learn about what the Marine Corps University does and what you're getting ready to do this weekend, I was all in. But first, let's start off with who the man is. When did you serve the Marine Corps, and what was your MOS experience like, sir?
Yeah, I went into the Marine Corps in August of '76, so it's hard to believe I went in right after the 2000 or the 201st birthday, and now we're approaching 250. So it's been a while, Travis. But I went in August 1976, went through OCS and basic school at Quantico, and then I went to Fort Sill. You probably spent a little time at Fort Sill, being you were a Hawk guy.
No, I was in Fort Bliss. They had the
Oh, you were at Bliss.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I was at the Bliss and then Yuma.
Yeah, so I spent some time with the Army at Fort Sill, going through artillery school, and then I was with the First Battalion, 12th Marines in Kaneohe in Hawaii.
Nice, nice. And did you have a good Marine Corps experience? What was it like? Did you like it?
Yeah, I loved it. It was one of those. You talk about seminal events in your life. I mean, I would not have had the business career I had if I hadn't been in the Marine Corps. I mean, all the fundamentals about leadership I learned in the Marine Corps. And I'll give you an example, Travis. When
Okay.
I'm 29 years old, just before I got out, I was a battery commander. I had 200 Marines working for me, millions of dollars of assets. And, you think, how many 29-year-olds get that kind of responsibility? I mean, where else can you find that kind of responsibility? And I'll tell you what, you grow up fast, you mature, and, it's just a lot of responsibility, and it really shapes you as a person.
You go in the Marine Corps and you get out, and then you have, I mean, looking at your CV and who you are, getting to know the man. I mean, you've had a very successful, business career, but more than that, you've really, leaned into supporting nonprofit work, charitable foundations,
Right.
et cetera, et cetera. What prompted you to be a part of the Marine Corps University Foundation, and what is it, sir?
Yeah. It's interesting, Travis, you bring it up that way because my wife and I have always thought that education is the great equalizer. I have this expression that talent's everywhere, but opportunity is not. And the Marine Corps really reinforced that to me. I mean, you served in the Corps. I mean, you know that you've got people from all walks of life, every corner of the country in that Corps, and you really learn to work in teams and appreciate the diversity of that Corps. And as you said earlier, the Marines have always been about education, professional military education. Even though we have the reputation of being kind of the bronze side of this, some of the smartest guys I've ever worked with were in the Marine Corps. And so we always supported education as this great equalizer. And I saw it work in the Marine Corps.
So why is it so important to, support the Marine Corps University? Or let me just back up here.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that the Marine Corps has a university or university foundation. What are those entities, sir?
Yeah. So let me give you a little background on the Marine Corps University.
Okay.
The university formally was formed in 1989 when General Gray was commandant.
Ah,
Now, Marine Corps schools, as you know, existed prior to World War I. There's always been schooling for Marine enlisted and Marine officers to make sure the training was, best in class. What General Gray did in 1989 was bring all those schools together in Quantico at the Marine Corps University. So you've got senior enlisted, from corporal to senior enlisted schools there. You've got all the way up to command and staff, lieutenant colonels, and even the War College, where you're getting into even more senior officers. And the interesting thing about the university is 80,000 people a year go through that university for training. And it's not just Marines. You've got people from all branches and even civilian government officials going through that school, various schools. So it does a great job of just educating all ranks through the Marine Corps, making sure that training is up to speed. Now, the foundation was created about 40 years ago, a little over 40 years ago, to support the needs of the Marine Corps University. It's interesting, Travis, if you think about the mission of the Marine Corps University, it's very simple. You can put it on a license plate, basically. It's to educate Marines to prevail in combat. That's what it's all about. So how do we
Nice.
prevail in combat? So the foundation knows that the Department of Defense doesn't have the funds to support all the different training that the Marine Corps might want to do. For example, if you wanted to take some senior enlisted and some officers to Normandy to study what happened on Utah Beach or Omaha Beach, DoD is not going to pay for that.
Right,
So there's
right.
a lot of different programs that the foundation works with the university president, which is now Brigadier General Tracy, works with him to say, what are your priorities that DoD doesn't fund, and how can the foundation fund those programs to just keep driving that mission of helping Marines prevail in combat.
So why has this education and, even back when I was serving, sir, training was constant. Training was constant. We're going to
Right.
train you so you go to combat, your job becomes almost automatic. But why in this case is this university, this foundation, so important in today's world, sir?
Yeah, I think, Travis, when you look at the threats that are out there today, they're probably the most difficult and complex threats that the country's seen since World War II. When you think about the threats in the Middle East, you think about the threats with China, with Russia, Ukraine, everything that's going on globally. The threats are certainly more complicated than they've probably been since the Cold War ended, or post World War II. And then when you think of the weapon systems today, the complexity in the weapon systems that are being used, education is going to be the key to winning and prevailing on the battlefield. So the Marine Corps is just trying to keep that edge to make sure that our Marines and the other folks in the other services who go through the university are best in class to deal with those kind of threats.
So the 250th birthday of the Marine Corps is coming
Yeah,
up. I don't know about you, sir. It's still a special day to me. I still get sentimental when
yeah,
that day comes. I
yeah,
gotta think the University Foundation is doing something special to honor our
yeah.
250th birthday.
Yeah, we're trying to set the standard. We've got our Semper Fidelis dinner, which is the annual formal dinner we do every year in Washington to celebrate an honoree who exemplifies the values of the Corps. This year, the honoree is Gary Sinise, of course, the actor most people know as Lieutenant Dan from Forrest Gump, who's done tremendous work on behalf of veterans. So that event kind of kicks off this year for us for the 250th celebration. One of the things, Travis, the Board of Trustees said is let's set out a challenge grant to start the year. We did this last fall where we challenged each other to raise over $1 million for the university. We've currently raised, the board itself raised 1.1 million, and we wanted to get to a goal of 2.5 million to kind of tie into this 250th
Yeah, yeah.
anniversary. We're close to we're north of $2 million now. We're still waiting on some of the public to help us reach that threshold. But once we get to that 10%, the ultimate goal is a $25 million raise over the next 3 to 5 years. So we're kicking off this 250th celebration with the Semper Fidelis dinner, and of course the challenge grant that the board has done, and then we're on our way to raising this 2.5 million to support the university. And then, of course, we'll talk, I'm sure, in a little bit about the General Gray Award that's coming up, as well as another one of the celebrations for the 250th.
Well, that
It's
was
interesting. The Marine Corps existed. The Marine Corps existed. Was founded in 1775 before we actually were a country. So we've had Marines before we actually had American citizens, if you will.
well,
So
as it should be,
and
as it
we,
should be.
yeah, yeah, and as you say, we never are shy about celebrating our birthday, right?
No, no, it's still a special day for me. I don't know why, but I get in the spirit. It's still with me. Speaking of the General, Gray Award, I mean,
Right,
even back when I was in boot camp, we learned about General Gray and what he did. But what
right,
is this? This is, if I understand it correctly, this is the inaugural award for leadership and
right,
education this year. What is
right.
this all about, sir?
Well, recall that General Gray passed away last year in
Yes, sir.
his early mid 90s. I have to, before I get into the award, Travis, I got to tell you a personal story
Okay.
because I knew General Gray. So when I graduated from basic school a long time ago, and this is in the late 70s, General Gray was a two-star at Quantico. He was in charge of the education command. And he came to the basic school to give out the diplomas to the graduating class from the basic school. There were about 160 in our company. And we had 2 Korean Marines in that company. So as we were filing up on the stage to get our diplomas, one of the Korean Marines was in front of me. Well, as he got to General Gray, and General Gray had a reputation for being a bear hugger and a back slapper, he's a real physical guy. So as this Korean Marine, who was a really stoic guy, gets his diploma, General Gray hits him on the back so hard that his watch popped off and flew into the front row of the audience. So you can only imagine the look on this Korean Marine's face when his watch pops off flying, and he goes, "What's this guy doing to me?" So that's the kind of guy General Gray was. That's why we love General Gray. So this award was to honor his legacy of his focus on education, training, and community impact, known as the Enlisted Marines Commandant, because he started as an enlisted guy.
Right, right.
And he always cared about the troops. It was always about the troops. Well, this award looks at current serving Marines or retired Marines who have done exemplary things in their community through education and or training and had impact, on their community, significant impact. The interesting thing is we got over 30 nominees from across the country for this award. We've narrowed it down now to 8 finalists, and as you say, we'll announce the winner, the finalist, at the Semper Fidelis dinner on Saturday night. So that'll be the inaugural award winner.
So what was the criteria for being nominated? Because, I mean, these all must be stellar individuals to even be in the conversation, sir.
Yeah, it really was this broad category of who's had an exemplary impact on their community. I'll give you a couple of examples.
Okay.
One of the guys, Brett D'Alessandro, served in Iraq, Afghanistan, came back, had some PTSD, and realized that there were certain basic things he needed to just kind of take his mind off things, and he started this thing, giving out backpacks to veterans with certain gear in the backpack. And this has gotten to the point where they've given out 12,000 backpacks across 36 states in the country to veterans, just to help them make this transition and just to show that somebody cares about them. I'll give you another example. Find out this other individual, Ryan Pavel, started this organization called Warriors Scholar Project, and this project was all about helping veterans transition from military service into the civilian world. And they've impacted now across the country literally thousands of veterans by helping them transition. And that's one of the things I've tried to do as well, because one of the things in the companies I worked in, we tried to really focus on hiring veterans. And that's what a lot of these 8 finalist individuals did, is helping this transition from the military to the civilian world. And what you find with these guys is, as you know, they're mission oriented.
Yep.
They know how to work in teams. Diverse teams. They're mature, and they actually have a work ethic. They show up.
Right.
And you think about those characteristics of veterans, whether they're Marines, sailors, Army, Coast Guard, or Air Force, they have those characteristics. So that's what this award was really about, is finding those people that are, as I said, active duty Marines or former Marines who have had that kind of impact. And most of it focuses on helping veterans transition from the military into the civilian world.
Sir, kind of winding this down, last couple of questions is,
Yeah.
you accomplished so much in your Marine Corps career and professionally throughout your career, right? And a lot of people in your shoes are, going to Florida, they're going to Palm Beach or Italy to golf, watch F1, so on and so forth. They're not thinking about this. What is it about this organization and that says, I'm going to continue to serve. I'm going to continue to serve my fellow Marines and my fellow man.
Yeah, I think it boils down to, Travis, if I had not gone in the Marine Corps and had the privilege of leading other Marines, been given that honor, there is no way I would have had the career I've had. People, I mean, when I left the Marine Corps, I was hired by Procter and Gamble,
Okay.
and in marketing and brand management. And it's interesting. I was in the paper division of Procter and Gamble. There were about 40 marketers in that division working on brands like Pampers and Charmin and Puffs, brands everybody knows. Of the 40 marketers in that division, 10 were former military officers. And Procter really recognized the importance of that service in terms of the maturity of those people, their mission orientation, their work ethic, and just their ability to lead. So I've always felt that if I hadn't been a Marine, I just never would have had that start. I could have never gotten there. I'll tell you one other story that really reflected what I learned out of the Marine Corps. So I'd been in schools for 15 months in the Marine Corps, UCS, basic school, artillery school. It was 15 months before I got to Kaneohe and actually got to a line unit. And when I landed in Hawaii, my unit was training on the Big Island. We used to shoot artillery all the time on the Big Island called Pahakaloa. We would train over there for weeks at a time. So I flew over there to meet my CO and join the battery. And I got there, and it was about 11 o'clock in the morning, and they'd been out shooting for days without being back in the base camp. So the CO of the battery ordered some chow to come out from the mess hall, from the base camp. So I'd been up since 5 o'clock in the morning. I was getting pretty hungry. I was talking to the battery commanding officer. I was talking to the XO. I was talking to the battery gunnery. And everybody starts lining up for chow. And so I start to go, I'm going to get kind of near the front of this line. I'm kind of hungry. Battery gunnery grabs me and says, Lieutenant, in the field, the men always eat first. If there's any left, you can have some. I go, okay, Gunny, I get it. It's not about me. It's about them. And I never forgot that. And I think that has served me well wherever I've been in terms of in the business world, that it's all about your people and the mission. It's not about you. And, when you have that kind of approach, it builds a lot of loyalty and trust in people. And
Right.
you can get a lot more done when people trust you than when they don't trust you. So the Marine Corps just was invaluable to me. And it was just, and I said, it's payback. I have to pay it back.
Well, you kind of answered my question, like, what's the Marine Corps experience relevant like for someone looking to join? You answered that. I think closing this out, my last question is, the Marine Corps University is there. What do you see for the future of the Marine Corps University, sir?
Well, I think it's only going to get better. I think as the foundation really builds on this challenge grant, Travis, and we continue to raise funds for the Marine Corps University, I think our ability to support that mission of educating Marines to prevail in combat is only going to get better and better and better. And it needs to get better and better and better. Our hope is that with programs like yours, we can build broader awareness of what this university does and what the foundation does to help the university, so the public gets more involved in supporting this, because there's nothing more important than helping our Marines and other service members to prevail.
How can people find out or support the Marine Corps University, sir? And we will end it there.
Yeah, if you go on the Marine Corps University Foundation website, just Google it, or whatever your browser is, just look up Marine Corps University Foundation or Marine Corps University. It will show you how to get involved and how to contribute. And that's really the bottom line for us, Travis. If we can get public awareness of this, as you said earlier in the program, there's not a lot of people aware of the Marine Corps University. They're aware of West Point and Annapolis and the Air Force Academy, but the Marine Corps University is just kind of a hidden gem.
Yeah. Well, sir, I will put that link in the Oscar Mike Radio show post. You can check it out. There's a lot of information on there about what the Marine Corps University does and this upcoming award on March 29th. Sir, I want to thank you, one, for being Semper Gumby, two, for being a great guest. And I'm going to close out with this, sir. Simply say, Semper Fidelis.
Semper Fi, Travis. Thanks for your help.
Absolutely.